interrupt somebody. Thank you, whoever did that. All right, let's see. Why don't we go to Meredith next? And Noah, I'm saving you for last as a quick refresh since the group's met you before, but it was a while ago, so sure we'd love a refresher there. But Meredith, would love to get your background real quick.
Sure. It's nice to meet you all. I'm Meredith. The skyline behind me is Philadelphia, so that's where I'm based. I have the past, oh gosh, decade now, so not 35 years, but working towards it. Of experience in marketing across B2C, B2B. I've worked in industries like ed tech, health insurance, lease accounting, accounting workflow, ecosystem partnerships, most recently in transactional email, and currently at Enable in rebate management. So, one of the things I love about marketing is I get to dive into all of these different topics and learn about all these different worlds. And really get into the weeds of the technology, of the people, and of the vocabulary of what the messaging is everywhere. So, and as a product marketer, that's what I absolutely love is who is the audience? What are their goals? What are our goals? How do those overlap? And how can we say them in as clearly as we can and as much like natural speech as possible, especially as audiences have been um, evolving and getting more used to hearing sales pitches, like where is the authenticity? So that's something that I'm always looking for is where does this sound like it's really coming from the founders like love and yeah, and where's the founder's background and experience in this world and why you want to pursue this. So I'm excited to be here and yeah, excited to meet you all and hear from all of the work that you've been doing. And know that if you feel overwhelmed, not that I have founded a company, but feeling overwhelmed is totally normal. And I'm just excited to see all of you pushing through it anyways, because that's pretty admirable.
Thanks so much, Meredith. Just as a side note, I'm really excited Meredith was able to join. I invited her here because we connected through just shared experience in product marketing circles a few years back, and I've been following her on LinkedIn. She just shares some really fantastic, lucid content around best practices in marketing, product launches, and particularly go-to-market. So if that's an area of interest to you, and spoiler alert, it is, you should definitely go follow her on LinkedIn. Especially for the folks in the group who are launching consumer products, because that's, in my view, particularly important. All right, awesome. Last but not least, Noah, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to see everyone. Just the refresher, originally Global Expansion Director for WeWork, did about $250 million there in sales and leading teams remotely around the world. After I left, did my own co-working development and event spaces and set price per square foot records all over Chicago, which I'm very proud of. And worked in mental health as well as constituent delegacy in Chicago on a neighborhood board. And so relative to this conversation, and maybe I'll just keep the experience for Chicago for this one, but sold everything from event spaces to technology to all the outdoor signage for McDonald's headquarters. And so we'll talk about sales and go to market and scale, but trust me when I say anyone can sell anything. And to the self-confidence and mental health stuff, it's actually a big part of the conversation today. So I can't wait to jump into that.
I did not know about the McDonald's signs. That's a great anecdote. Very cool.
Chicago nepotism, this is being recorded, so I'll stop there.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Noah. All right, time for our hot seats. So we've got the 3-minute pitches. I'd say we'll aim for 2 today. If we have enough volunteers, we'll go for 3, but I won't push you guys. If we land with 2, then I'm happy with that. So would anybody like to kick us off? Actually, wait, think on that. I always do this. First, quick briefing for the mentors. So Noah, obviously you're familiar here, but Meredith and Colin, just so you know. So what we're going to do is the founders are going to share their practice pitch. It's going to be 3 minutes, strictly timed with some slides. So just keep in mind that they are strictly limited to 3 minutes. And obviously that's a very tight timeline for a lot of content. What we're going to ask you to do. Oh, thanks, Lainey. That's right. I forgot this group has the hot seat polls. Excellent. All right. So we'll start off with Antonia, then Suzanne, and then if we have time, we'll move to Salman. So what we'll ask you to do is give just a couple minutes of high level feedback. Maybe for the first one, we'll have Noah lead off to kind of model what that looks like. And then we'll ask you to share a numeric rating with the founder as well. And that numeric rating is going to be on the FI scale, which is a 1 to 5 with no 3s allowed. So 1, 2, 4, or 5. A 1 means you're really just not getting it. You think the pitch needs a lot of work. 2 is you understand where they're coming from, but you think some substantial work is needed to really improve. 4, it's really strong, but you've got some feedback. 5 blew you away. You might want to invest in the company. I would say to help you calibrate, because we like folks to be kind of tough graders here, we're not expecting to see a lot of 5s. 5s means really exceptional, really something else. If you feel it earns it, great. But otherwise, if we walk away with no 5s today, it's still a great day for the founders. We've got some great pitches here. So normally I would normally expect to see a lot of 2s. If we see some 4s, I think that's fine. But if you're finding you're giving out a lot of 2s and 4s, that's exactly in the range that we're looking to see. So err on the side of being a little bit tougher. As far as the entering the numeric score, so we'll ask you to verbally share that with the founder and your feedback. I'm also going to direct message you a link really quickly while the first founder is pitching. And if you could just use that link to enter the score as well, it's useful for the founders in evaluating their progress over time. So hopefully all that's clear. Just message me in the chat if you have any issues with the score entry or any questions there. All right, so with all of that said, let's see, Lainey, if you don't mind timing, running the timer. And Antonia, whenever you're ready, I'll go on mute, and mentors, I'll ping you over that link right now.
Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me, first of all? Yeah, okay, perfect. And you can see my deck. Okay, yes, great. All right, my deck had to give a little bit. I think I cleaned it up, but maybe not here or there. So please don't scold me on that one. But Lainey, let's start the clock. Hi, my name is Antonia Watts, and America's potty routine stinks. You see, toilet paper leaves you smelly with unwanted residue, and so some people, like me, are adding wet wipes, which is a good solution, but adds an additional step and also lets you feel like your baby. Bidets are too costly and hard to install, and so the result is that people are left choosing between 2 options: staying unclean or adding complexity to their routine. Tired of waiting years for a product that delivers a simple 2-in-1 solution, I designed and patented exactly that. Introducing hydrated toilet paper. I'm sorry, I forgot to move the slides. Placed between dry paper and wet wipes, it is a new product category closing the gap by combining the best of both worlds. And contrary to wet wipes, it can also be used in all commercial restrooms, preventing germs from spreading. But why now and why we? In 2023, a study shows that 40% of adults now use both dry and wet wipes for personal hygiene, thanks to the latest innovations like truly certified flushable wipes. During the pandemic, toilet paper shortage also pushed people to seek more multi-purpose products that save time and money. Big companies, however, are hesitant to adopt new ideas like ours because it could hurt their sales. That's why we, as true innovators, have a real chance to launch this new product category to set a new trend. We are looking at a global TAM of $136 billion with 6% CAGR, having the first mover advantage and capturing 5 to 10% of the US market in the first 2 years and going global in the third. Bliss could potentially generate $420 million in licensing sales, targeting families that want a better hygiene for their kids and hospitality institutions in the US and around the world. Since Bliss is an IP-driven business with high scalability, it will generate consistent free cash due to low capital expenditure needs and high margin licensing revenue, eventually also leading to other 2-in-1 variations for babies, pets, and seniors. We'll compete with both traditional toilet paper and wet wipes. However, our strategy isn't just to compete. It's to help our partners disrupting the market, driving early adoption, and creating visible demand among consumers on and offline. With rapid consumer uptake and strategic market penetration, these big brands will have no choice but to adopt our technology in order to maintain relevance in this new, fast-evolving market segment. Bliss has partnered with EMA, a global leader in packaging machinery, giving us access to their 80-country sales network and private label manufacturers. We're seeking $2 million to secure production investment, build a sales team, and cover legal expenses for licensing agreements. Leveraging this truly global partnership, Bliss expects to double
time.
its value, reaching 320 million in 2 years by rapidly scaling
Okay.
in the US market and
We're
expanding.
gonna cut you
Thank-
off there, Antonia. Thank you.
That was it. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So let's start off. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize my video was off.
I always
Let's
forget to move the slides.
let's start off with feedback from Noah.
All right.
Okay. And are we doing ratings out loud?
Yes, please.
Hi, Noah. Yes, of course. Give it
Hi,
to me.
Antonia. It is very
Hi,
good to see
Noah.
you.
Nice to see you again.
My apologies that thinking this was a luxury item only last time.
No worries, no worries. I hope I set the record straight here.
You're good. I came into this prepared, and honestly, I love the weird water bubble textures on your presentation. I went to wipe my screen because I thought I dripped something on it. So I actually
Oh my
really
God.
So
Yeah,
I
okay.
like you. I love your personality that you bring to the table with these presentations. By the way, it's a 2. It's very close to a 4, and I mean 2 in ratings, not in toilet terms. I've been saving that one since last time.
Right, right.
I really like the new structure of your pitch, but honestly, by the time you got to that 3rd slide, it was so many words said out loud and also on page that I kind of didn't absorb anything at that point. And I think at that point, it'd be a really great thing to hit the use cases home. To your point about this being for indoors, for elderly, you can go camping with this. You can do like, I really like the practical application because one of those use cases is going to hit home with me. I don't judge the fact that there's like a Tan Samsung Kagar in there. It's a massive freaking industry. And so to like capture 10%, I always find pitches that say, I'm going to capture X amount of it. It's like, all right, first you should aim for 100. But so a lot of new pitch decks, and I don't mean to give anyone any advice different than what FI gives, but really include a TAM overall rather than the SAM and even SOM. And we use those for acquisition markets. Overall, really nice. I think you could hit it home a little harder with that the current wipes and stuff are branded for kids. And also because of that, they are more expensive, making it not a sustainable practice. And then I'll just say one sentence. You don't have to respond to it. If you're producing this as a white label through a manufacturer, the statement about the major brands having to adopt you is kind of like, why? They can go directly to the patent holder, or if you get important enough, they can produce it themselves. So not something I necessarily think you need to address in the pitch, but it is something that is, again, if you don't have the IP yourself, you can't really make the statement on the
Noah,
page.
that was not clear. But hold on, Noah, that was not clear to you that I hold the IP?
No, because the next slide, it mentioned the manufacturer and the white labeling.
Oh, shoot, because yes, so basically I'm the IP holder. I patented it.
Amazing. I would put that on slide 1. Welcome to my
So
product.
that's what it says, patent pending.
Well, we skipped over that.
Okay, I'm gonna blow it
Yeah.
up. Okay,
So
okay,
hit that
Yes,
home.
I am the IP holder. I'm the IP holder, and I'm licensing my IP.
Amazing. So that's a perfect how much we as humans can pay attention and absorb. So hit that home when you get to that point, or call it patent pending and reinforce that because it's important as a business person. You've gone
All right.
above and beyond. Okay, that's my feedback. Love. I'll buy a roll and a pack and a box.
Thanks, Noah. Hopefully, yes. Repeatedly a roll, please. Repeatedly.
Thanks, Noah. All right, Colin, let's go to you next for feedback here.
You bet. Antonia, thank you. That was a great little presentation. My rating is, can you hear me, by the way, everybody? Thumbs up? Great. So my rating is a 2, but leaning toward 4. The concept is a 4. A couple of things. Yeah, I think you need to pull out that you are the patent, the IP holder, and that that you actually control this technology. Your projections for market share in the first 2 years are really, I think, from an investor's point of view, not realistic. This is a very, very competitive global marketplace with well-funded competitors who are spending literally hundreds, if not billions of dollars to keep their customers using their products. And it might be an interesting experience for you to go back and track, if you haven't already, the progression of the wet wipe market for use in bathrooms, not just for adult use in bathrooms. What have those steps of that market sort of gone through? Because you're probably going to have to go through a similar. What you're going to have to do is re-educate the marketplace and convince early adopters to actually use the product, and then tell their friends. So there's a pretty big marketing and branding hurdle that you're going to have to overcome. $2 million just gets you started. So one thing I would suggest is that maybe you pick a specific category or segment, maybe like restaurant, or someplace where you can get large scale distribution and large units of sale. Getting onto shelves, in retail is really hard, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and you need to have market demand in order for them to put you on premium shelves. So I don't know if that is helpful for you, but those are some of the things. Pricing is going to be really key, where you fit categorically between those two, but what does the pricing look like? And let's see. Yep, that's it. That's what I got. Nice job.
Right. Thank you so much, Colin. And just to clarify, I am a licensing business. I'm not doing the distribution nor the marketing. I'm licensing to private label manufacturers that they will.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah, that did not come through. So I guess the question is, have you already lined up these distribution partners, and have they made distribution commitments, or can you? That might be your objective.
That is why I partnered with a machine engineering with a machine engineer from EMA, and they
Thanks, Antonia. No need to explain the situation, because it's just about the feedback, so you can understand what needs to be edited there. Thanks very much, and thanks, Colin. All right, let's close up with feedback from Meredith.
Awesome. Incredible job, Antonia. There's so much information that you've packed in there, and it's so cool to see. It's so cool to see just all of the details, and I can tell that there's the passion is there. This is really cool, and that you are the patent holder, the creator. That's amazing. And yeah, I definitely would second that to highlight that. I would love to hear more about that. I would also offer a 2 because I think it wasn't super clear who your audience was here. And yeah, noting that if your intention is to get more partners who are going to distribute this for you rather than purchasing and going directly to the customer or going right to retail, I think keeping that in mind and that audience in mind for this pitch would be helpful. And then if there's anything that you're able to do, and honestly, this is probably weird advice, but using ChatGPT can be helpful to some of those sorts of large language models are helpful to run your pitch through, or any kind of copy. I do it all day long to say like, hey, make this more succinct for me, or revise this for X audience. That just makes such a big difference. You probably don't want to take exactly what it gives you on the output, but it makes a big difference and allows you to think more like in revisions and okay, how can I get this to be imagine that my audience has the attention span of a goldfish. Like what do they need to know about this product? So just some messaging in general to think about, but it seems like the plan overall is very thoroughly thought out, and I'm impressed by that. And I think that means that there's just a little bit of tailoring to do with the actual messaging itself of the pitch. That's pretty cool. That's really far in your journey there. So well done.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Meredith. All right, we'll go to Suzanne next.
Okay.
I'll go on mute, Suzanne, and you're welcome to start whenever you want. Lainey will start the timer when you begin talking.
Okay. And you can see my screen okay? Okay, hi, I'm Suzanne. I am the founder of Dig Local, which is a community-driven marketing platform. Oh, why aren't you going to the next slide? Oh, there we go. Okay. So what if every small business could tap into local marketing talent? And what if freelancers could easily team up to support these small businesses? Dig Local makes this a reality. Our online platform connects marketing freelancers with small businesses to provide trusted local expertise. Did you know that there are 73 million freelancers in the United States and that most creative professionals and marketers are freelancers? And 82% of small businesses say that they prefer to work with local providers. So how does the platform work? Well, from the business side, companies post projects for branding, marketing, social media, etc., and our algorithm matches them with vetted local freelancers. Businesses get full service end-to-end marketing solutions from collaborative marketing teams. Then on the freelancer side, freelancers are vetted during the onboarding, then matched based on skills and proximity. And after every project, freelancers are rated and reviewed. So there are a lot of alternatives out there, but unlike platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, Dig Local focuses on local vetted talent, collaborative teams that provide end-to-end solutions. We're also highly affordable, offering businesses a trusted alternative between big agencies or doing it themselves. So our revenue stream is mostly transaction fees, thinking about 15% per project. So let's say we're handling around 500 projects that are medium-sized per month. That puts us on track for substantial monthly revenue. And as we scale, the opportunity only grows. I've been a web designer for over 12 years, and I started a group called Seattle Digital Freelancers to build my own local network of freelancers. And with these relationships, we have a solid foundation to build from. So we'll start in Seattle, leveraging my existing network. Our goal is 50 businesses and 100 freelancers, and then in 3 months, expanding to 500 projects per month in 6 months. We'll offer incentives for freelancers to refer others, and to attract businesses, we'll work with local chambers, SCORE, and other community organizations. Right now, it's just me, but I'll be running things for now, but I have a good foundation. I have experience in web design, programming, and community building, and I'm prepared to grow the team to provide, to include tech and marketing expertise. I'm asking $300,000 to launch in Seattle, and these funds will go towards platform development, marketing, and building the team. Did you know that out of every $100 spent, 68 of those dollars stay within the community, generating more jobs, wealth, and support for community initiatives? And our goal is to amplify this impact by keeping our talent and locals and resources local. Thank you.
You were only a few seconds over.
Oh, that's amazing.
Nice job, Suzanne. All right,
Thanks.
let's kick off with Colin this time.
Hi, thanks, Suzanne. That was great and nice and succinct. I'm sorry, I had the question if Canva is on your competitor list. It might be.
I think that goes into the DIY bucket.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the thought process around, how small businesses actually, get their, marketing needs met, and how much has been shifted toward that marketplace.
Mhm.
But cool. But I think, my rating, again, 2 leaning to 4. You've got a nice, your pitch is totally understandable and is seems realistic. And your launch process, starting in Seattle and expanding out is a really, I think, a strong approach. I did think the last, it would be interesting if you could weave into your vision and or a cause that you had at the very end, if that could become part of the reason why you're you're doing this, so that it's about building and strengthening community, and not just in the freelance community, but also in the general business community. Your mission, I sensed your purpose kind of coming through at that last slide.
Yeah.
So if you could infuse that more, I think you'd get some
Okay.
more attention. So cool.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mhm. Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Let's go to Meredith next.
Well, Colin, you stole a lot of my ideas. I guess it's like, we work in marketing or something, we have a lot of that shared brain there. Yeah, fantastic job, Suzanne. And going only a couple seconds overtime. I mean, that's awesome. So, well done. Something I loved was your competitive grid. I mean, I love a very, I'm in, G2 and Capterra all the time and B2B SaaS. So that was very familiar for me to see and made immediate sense to me. And, perhaps I'm not the audience, but if I was someone who was looking for, someone from your service, honestly, to help with some marketing needs, actually, I could be, I guess. But I also loved your acknowledgement of the couple of the top brands there. That was great, because initially I was putting together like, oh, I think this sounds like kind of like Fiverr, or I've worked with like Design Pickle in the past. So it was really helpful for you to establish us right there and put that positioning together right away. But yeah, like Colin said, I think and the way I would say this is, I think it could be interesting to test as a product marketer. We're always testing, right? To test starting with your story, with who you are and why you're doing this. There's a lot of like credibility, that ethos that can be really strong if you lead with it. And I think it also just tells the story a little bit more linearly. So I loved it though. I think all of your visuals were just really clear. It was really easy to follow. And I do agree that your ask sounds super reasonable. And starting local is wonderful. And that's your differentiator really shined through. So I actually would give this a 4. I think that this is really strong.
My first 4.
Yeah. I mean, you can always tailor to different audiences depending on who you need to talk to. But if I were looking to hire someone from your service, I would be pretty excited to dive into your website right away. So very well done.
Yay.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hey.
I'm sad I didn't get to go one earlier, because I also gave you a 4.
Hooray.
In fairness, I gave you a 3.5 in my head, so I rounded up.
Yeah, round up. Thank you.
I got your back. So I think one of the greatest things that you bring to the table is, whether you mean to do it or not, I think we all naturally trust you. Like it's not a person
that's so nice.
trait that everyone has. I was sitting here going, if I was sitting in a room with her and she was telling me about this, like I would, whatever you say, I would believe just as truth and authenticity. But then I would want to participate. And I think that's just a huge piece of what's missing in sales these days, is that trust in natural rapport building. To Colin's point, or to parlay off of it, the comp list and the competitor list, there's really 2 reasons for that slide. One, to make sure you're not a crazy person. And so to understand that there's competition and more.
There's tons.
And then the second is to actually see your name next to big names or next to no names, right? Those are the 2 first to market, or there are companies that are doing this with huge valuations and investments right now. So we need to get in on it. And so it's almost counterintuitive to say, put some big names on there, which you have, but you don't have to be shy about that stuff. In terms of what the actual product is, I'll tell you, we don't hire anymore through interviews. We only put up projects. We have level 1 projects, which anyone can do. Sure, it costs us $100 or $200, but that's the reward or the time commitment. And we see their work consistently compared to other people's work. And then for level 2, $500 projects, $1,000 projects, right? We got to put our money where our mouth is. And honestly, I've never understood how to hire someone off of like interviews. And so I love anything project-based. I love anything where it's collaborative. To do the collaborative marketing makes everyone's life easier. Just with this, it's going to be a lot of acquisition on both sides. And so if you can get one business to produce a number of projects and then solicit, great, and then have feedback loops so you can funnel people out and funnel people in. But I'm in every Facebook group with every freelance developer and marketer and we work all internationally. And so as much as I love the local, and I think that's a great sell for the businesses in terms of global talent with high skill, lower cost, you might also just want to explore the possibility of maybe there's an option for local and maybe there's an option for global, and the company can buy into whichever one they matches their brand
Okay,
reputation.
yeah. Yeah, so I was also thinking a little bit about like mixing and matching because there might not be someone close by. But for some things you need people close by, like for a photographer, videographer, you know? So yeah, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. All right, let's, I'd really love to get Salman a chance to pitch too. So Salman, why don't we go to you? We're running a little over, but I think we'll make up the time in the breakout rooms later.
Yep. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yep, looks good.
Great. Second. So yeah, hi everybody. My name is Salman. My company is Bank Clutter. Our aim is to solve the internet communication problem by building a smart, all-in-one communication app in much the same way that we solved in-person communication by building the smartphone. So let's talk about internet communication. What is the problem with internet communication? The problem is that there are too many apps. We use email, Slack, Zoom, WhatsApp, Superhuman, and the list just keeps going. Not just that, but users have to create multiple accounts with each application. We have users with multiple Gmail accounts in multiple Slack workspaces, and each of these costs money. In fact, with Slack, it's even worse. You have to pay a subscription fee per workspace. So we believe this is a problem. It doesn't quite work for the users, and it's a pain point. So what's the solution? The solution is to merge some of these applications together and give users a seamless, coherent communication experience. So we're proposing an enhanced email experience for users with real-time capabilities, group communication, which is much like Slack and helps you organize your communication better, workspaces within inboxes. We believe this will produce more organized, faster, more user-friendly communication spaces, and that's our offering. In terms of competitor analysis, we believe we'll be pretty well positioned. We plan on being just as available as email and just as user-friendly as Slack and Discord and other group messaging apps, if not a little bit more. So we'll have a good advantage there. Team right now is pretty small. I'm a single founder looking for some traction early on, but I have a background in building low latency distributed systems, which I believe will translate well into this space. Our business model is largely based on subscriptions, much like Slack's. The key differentiator for us is we plan on offering users a per user business plan as opposed to Slack's per workspace business plan. So we believe that will cut down significantly on cost structures. And we also believe we have an opportunity to improve email marketing, which is a $46 billion industry. It's an industry that's very sensitive to personalization. And so we believe that that adding shared spaces inside of inboxes will give us an opportunity to personalize the communication between brands and consumers. And so that's an area of revenue for us. And in conclusion, we believe there's an opportunity to
That is time.
Love the enterprise screenshot there, though, Salman.
I'm
Extra
building
credit.
Anyone want to jump in there? Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's start off with Meredith for feedback.
Awesome. So, well done, Salman. This is, I mean, I also love all all of the little imagery and good jokes there is fantastic. Showing your personality and what you're interested in is so important, and helps you to feel a little bit more at ease as you're presenting. So it's great. Also, yay for the email world. I don't know if you know Postmark and DMARC Digest, but those were my babies just not too long ago. So some things that I think would be helpful. It was a little unclear, and maybe it's just my attention span and time of day, but how this is going to be different from email and how what this will look like. Maybe if there's some sort of wireframe or some sort of way that I can conceptualize how this will be different, that could be helpful. Because again, the imagery you have is fun and personality focused, but it is a little distracting. It would be nice to see a little bit more of what the product looks like or the workflow would look like. But I do like that there was, right, again, the competitive analysis, and that was pretty helpful. Some of the font was a little small, but again, that could just be my view. So it's hard to read, but helpful to see very clearly where those distinctions were in those quadrants. And noting the differentiator as the pricing model being different from Slack is really helpful, because I'm in Slack all of the time. So I get it that, yeah, do we want to upgrade to a higher tier, and is it really worth it? I don't know, maybe. So there's a lot to consider there, but overall I would give this a 2. I think that you have a lot of fantastic work already in the business model itself, and you presented just over the 3-minute mark. So well done there, but yeah, incredible.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. Let's go to Noah next.
Hey, Salman. I enjoyed your pitch. I gave you a 2 as well. You're not far from a 4 at all. Weirdly enough, this is the type of company where I'm like, you don't even need a 3-minute pitch. Like the 30-second pitch for a product like this is all you need to sell me on it. I'm not sure if you've ever seen text.com, TEXTS.com. And I'm not trying to scare you because of competition. I actually don't believe in competition. We'll talk in a few minutes about that. But it's iMessage, WhatsApp, Telegram, Messenger, X, Slack, Discord, right? All in one place.
Does it have email? I'm curious. I'll check it. I'm guessing not, right?
No email,
Yeah.
right? So that's a huge perk. By the way,
yeah.
don't even worry about what they have, bro. Like,
Sure.
fact of the matter is, I don't think anyone in this room has heard of text.com. And
Right.
there's probably another 100 companies that do the exact same that we've all never heard of. And this goes to market and acquisition and those types of things, right?
Yep.
I'm sure you all have heard of no-code platforms. Have any one of them advertised to you guys in this room? Probably not. This is the exact target demo, right? There's always an audience to capture. I like what you're up to. To Meredith's point, visuals, and I believe this is in a vision stage right now and not a product stage.
Yeah.
The visuals are going to make it real for everyone, right? We're such a visual society. Give us visuals, show us what it does. And really for the product, the only other thing I would recommend is, since you are amalgamating different platforms, I would love to be able to choose the style of messenger or the style of communication that I like best out of those, right? We're amalgamating all, and I got to choose my favorites. But I think a product like this is hugely necessary. It integrates with so many other platforms, and don't worry about anyone else doing something similar. Just like hit this hard. The only other slide I would bring into this is safety, security, and encryption. Just to hit it home that even though we are taking these things, it could be on the device side of things only, but just talk about that these are safety, trust, communications, and really hit home how much time you save, like quantify what this saves from.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks. That's nice. Yeah.
Thanks, Noah. All right, we'll close up with Colin.
Great job, Salman. Like the other 2, I give you a 2. It's good to know that it's in the vision stage, not in the you haven't moved further than that. Couple of things. I would probably, even though everybody instantaneously understands the problem, I might amplify what the implications are and a little bit more. You have a personal, individual, a consumer, and then a business. So there are two different kinds of views of that, right? It's, pain and suffering of having to manage a bunch of, and then, communications apps. And then on the business side, it's about productivity and responsiveness to customers. And, like we just talked about, security, encryption, right? The real sort of, aspects of, commerce and, how this problem actually impacts, businesses' ability to function and succeed. So the other thing that I didn't quite get, there was for me, there was a gap is again, how you you kind of melded together, at least in the way I heard it, you melded together the consumer value prop and then the business productivity, with the email and marketing components of it. Those two things are two separate concepts for me, or two. So, it felt like they were together and didn't quite land. So, but good start. I mean, I have this problem. So if you can solve it, I would. I have 5 email addresses and WhatsApp, and it's just insane.
Right.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Colin. All right. Fantastic. Great feedback here. So let's take a very short 5-minute break, and then we'll jump into Noah's presentation on go-to-market. So it's 6:47 by my clock, so let's come back at 6:52. Sorry to keep it very short, but I just want to make sure we stay on schedule here. So see y'all in 5 minutes. Folks, if you're back, if you don't mind, oh, thank you. Don't mind coming back. All right, cool. So I think we can just make sure you can screen share okay. Let me know if you have any problems.
Just emotionally.
Oh, yeah, fair.
As long as we're on topic for today. So actually, I think, and I'm happy to do this anyway, that it's beneficial for the room.
Sure.
I think what I'd love to do, and I have a presentation, I'm happy to put it on screen, but I would love to have just like a conversation, and I want to address first about the stress and the mental health and balancing things and all this jazz, more than I want to put what CAC and LTV stand for on a screen for you guys at this hour. So we'll balance it out. What I really want you to walk away from tonight is with a different perspective and methodology for going to market, sales, acquisition, anything that takes the things that you are amazingly building now and actually gets them in the hands of consumers in a way that is sustainable for a very long time, doesn't add stress to you, and also allows you to start selling now or start doing some real validation for when you are ready to go to market. And so I have a few theories about going to market and sales on top of building your products and everything else that you have going on as founders. And the first one is you can't work from scarcity. And it sounds like an overarching general statement. One of the biggest hardships at this stage in startups is everything feels like it makes or breaks your company. And especially when you're taking a product to market, or you're licensing to manufacturers, or you're selling B2B SaaS, right? At the end of the day, the other person who's buying it from you is another human being. And so all these things that we've seen in movies and sales manuals and memes on the internet about how you should lead the conversation and you should be speaking 80% of the time and you should be hard closing sales. It's like everything that they've been teaching us, let's forget about that. And let's refocus on a different way of going to market. And since most of you are B2B, I think this is highly relevant to you specifically. So my very first motto is no wasted conversations. The fact of the matter is, you just spent months of stress building. You now need to get this out. you're going to be spending so much of your time and resources trying to build relationships and acquire leads and do partnerships and all this stuff, that at the end of the day, you can't waste those. You can't waste your own time and money. And the way we don't waste those is by doing two things: having processes in place, having a CRM set up for your inbound leads and your outbound leads, and tracking who's responsible and what stage they're at within this process, and who we're closing and when we're closing them and what we owe them. And when they mention they have 2 kids and a dog, where are we putting that information, right? So it's actually not wasting your time by keeping that, right? Sales cycles are a funny thing, right? You might get layups that close in 1 meeting. You might get a whole bunch that close in 2, 3, 4. You might get some that come back to you 5 years later. And so really about this no wasted conversations, the second part of it is the funnels that they land in. It is your responsibility to come up with funnels for where these leads go. If they're highly qualified, great, let's close them. Let's reach out. If they're not qualified, okay, let's put them aside, but let's figure out another bucket. And one of those buckets that I really love pushing at this point is corporate social responsibility. It's non-linear acquisition. It's hedonistic altruism. It's a lot of phrases I put together when I'm pitching this thing. At the end of the day, you're a business. You're allowed to market anything you want. You could talk about your product all day long, right? If you have staff members, right, in majority of companies, let's say 10% are salespeople, the rest of them are product and operations, all this shit. And we talk about employee net promoter scores, about talking about you, but all we give them to talk about is the product, and they didn't apply for a sales job for a reason. And so if you look at things like corporate social responsibility, right, what does that mean? It's a single page on your website that says who we support, how we support them, and why we support them. And instead of acquiring all your customers by 1+1, right, get them in for a Giving Tuesday campaign. Partner with another organization that already takes care of your target demographics. Partner with them on a giving campaign once a year, twice a year, 4 times a year. Tell people how to get involved, right? And then those people convert to customers or referrers or partners. And so the second motto within this string and thought of nonlinear acquisition is care for whom they care for. The reason I have a relationship with Founder Institute is I was launching WeWork in Canada. The very first building that was going to be opening was in Montreal. And we had 80,000 square feet of office space to sell, where the second largest co-working space was 4,000 square feet. So we had 10 times the members in our space. And so I went to FI Montreal. I said, guys, come for a tour. We're an amazing tech company out of New York. And they said, go away. We're happy where we are. And I said, okay. So I went back to Sergio the next week, Sergio Escobar, the director, and I said, do you guys get hungry? Let me buy you dinner. Come. I got $200 worth of Italian food. We brought every single member in. We did a tour that night. We ate Italian. We created a rapport. And 3 weeks later, we moved all of FI into WeWork. We signed the national partnership. And literally all it was a second attempt to build a partnership by caring for whom they cared for. And I really want to hit that home. It's the best way to make partnerships. If you have an event coming up, give away a couple tickets to another organization. They get something to give away. You get access to their network that would have taken you tons of time and money to bring in. Okay, I got to get my list of sayings. Okay, so all that leads into a really important point, which is I actually don't believe in closing sales. And I'm going to sound like a psycho as a salesperson saying I don't believe in closing sales, because I don't. I believe in progressing relationships. And so a lot of the stress that we were talking about earlier, I think comes from the fact that we try to hard sell, or we need to sell this to validate our idea, or we need this revenue right now. And it makes everyone too important. You're annoying them by reaching out to them 24/7. They're not signing up with you. You're getting stressed that you were counting on that sale. Forget about all that stuff. Layups will happen. Progress the relationship, right? When I say progress the relationship, that could be personal or professional, but think about the stage where you're at right now in terms of validation, right? Verbal validation is placation. I'm sure you all have parents, friends who've asked you if you like something that they did or a food that they cooked, and right, we say yes, no matter what. I'm not going to hurt my friends. It wasn't the best meal I ever had, right? And so things don't really become real until you start really trying to sell something to someone. But selling something at this stage is a scary experience. And so there's really two ways of going at that, or three ways of going at that. The first way is just focus on progressing the relationship. You don't want to be the forceful salesperson. You want to be the trusted ambassador, the trusted authority on a topic, right? If they come to you, you can talk about 20 different topics, but you're the trusted authority and they know you specialize in something. So if you guide them to it, they'll participate. You don't have to hard sell anyone. You have to close, you have to ask for it, you have to listen to buying signals. But at this stage, what's the best thing you can do without a product? You're not going to sell them on coming back a year later. Interest dies, urgency dies, visibility dies, relationships die, right? You'll check in on them in a month. You know what? I'd love to come back to you. I might have a couple new questions that come up. And since you gave us such great feedback for our industry or product, I'd love to ask you a few more questions, right? What happens next? Progress to a demo. If you can't get to close, just get to the next step of the relationships, which is getting to a demo, right? All of these things are buying signals. You've built relationships, you've given them trusted advice, they come to you now. I hate to be the person who says these things out loud, but 90% of startups fail in the first 5 to 7 years, right? People in this room are multi-time founders. We've owned multiple companies. We've sold multiple different types of products. And so rather than focusing on hard sales, hard launches, all this stuff, just think about your mental health, their mental health, how you've been pitched before, how they've been pitched before. The biggest things right now, just based off of some of the hot seat pitches, especially if you're going to try to go to market now, is just make it visually real, right? The holy trinity of sales is building relationships, having a good product that fulfills what you're actually selling, and a designer. I think designers get pushed to the wayside in terms of budgets and the respect for the value of their work. But right now, a lot of these things are just visions in your head that you're just now trying to figure out how to translate outwards. And we live in such a visual society that you have to make things real, right? Go validate through conversations where you do discoveries and garner their opinions as people with experience and skills and specializations in your industries. Make it real by visualizing it, building designed wireframes, building one-pagers, right? If you don't want to have to change your website 12 times and your product applies to 20 different demographics, all this stuff, save yourself time. Just make some one-pagers. Here's a one-pager for where our wet toilet paper is good in elderly care. Here's where our wet toilet paper is good for the home or camping or whatever else, right? You don't have to necessarily sell your products as one straight thing. You can continue to have these conversations and learn. You can continue to validate by specifying different niches where it applies to. And if you do want to go sell, I love that. Go pre-sell. The only thing to know about pre-selling is you have to set the expectation properly and not oversell, right? If you want to go to someone who's a specialist in your industry that you know you want to sell later on, don't sell them now, progress the relationship. Sorry, give me 1 second. If your product's not going to be ready for 6 months, who the fuck cares? I buy things all the time that are not ready for 6 months. People buy condos that are not going to be ready for 10 years. You just have to set the expectation. And so if the expectation is, you know what, we're probably going to launch in 6 months. And by the way, 2 months before that, we're going to start doing our onboarding. So we get everything set up specifically for you, right? It's not overselling. It's not saying this is going to be ready tomorrow. It doesn't add stress to your lives. But pre-selling in that way is real validation. It's someone actually saying, you know what, come back to me when you have a demo. Or, you know what, I would love this. Can we put down a deposit? I got a whole bunch of other and more sayings, but one of the learnings that I really think should just hit home here and I'm sorry for swearing, is just shut the fuck up. Sorry for swearing. I know this is recorded. I wish we could bleep these things. If someone is telling
Own
you,
it. I do.
yeah, okay, amazing. If someone is telling you why they love you, shut up. Don't jump in and then reaffirm what they're saying. Listen, take it in, because that's what you're going to close them on. If they're telling you how bad a problem is, right? Listen, and then relate your product back to that problem as a solution and be a benefit, not just an additional feature they don't need. If you try selling me something with 20 different freaking widgets that I don't need, and I really just, sorry, we have a mall here that sells like every ripped off item. It was the first place you could get a cell phone with like a satellite TV and a fork that popped out. And it's like, if I don't need those things, I'm just going to go, one, this is not for me. And two, why am I spending money on these features that I don't need? And so if you haven't, and I'm happy to do like office hours about sales methodologies and closings. But if you haven't, check out Neil Rackman, Spin Selling. I think I mentioned in the last session, situation, problem, implication, need, payoff, right? You need to know your customer's situation either firsthand or from their mouth. From their situation, you sort of need to know what the problems are. To be honest, you don't always have to emphasize problems. I always really like just like stating relevant solutions, but a problem isn't a problem for someone until there's an implication of that problem. So SPI, implication, right? If you're not able to solve that you have 12 different text messaging platforms, emails, whatnot, between work and your personal life, between important moments at work and important moments in your personal life that you could potentially miss, right? So you got to hit these things home. I'm just going to pull up my notes. I know I'm getting near time. I'll give you just a couple quick points, a few things. When you are developing your target demographic lists, in terms of the processes and procedures, again, to save yourself time, I think it's a really good exercise to look at potential customers or clients in terms of the value they bring to you and the ROI or the opportunity cost that you're affected by. And so if going to market and getting a top tier A-class business as one of your clients, so that you can then tell everyone else in the industry that they're one of your clients is beneficial, okay, you can balance revenue, you can balance how much you do or white labeling or customization. For those types of customers, you customize your outreach, you customize your documentation, right? If a presentation is going to bring you $1 million, you put their logo on it. Just below there, there's a level of value of potential target demographics that are worth tailoring information to, right? Worth putting a first name in an email or specifying a specific use case, right? They bring value to you. And then there's a whole group of target demographics that, great, they would be great. Some of them are layups, some of them are not. It would be beneficial to make some revenue and have some traction, but they don't make or break your company. And so you can set up processes that are sort of more automated, standard communication details and stuff like that. Overall, in going to market, you have to balance your resources, your costs, your time, all this stuff. I think it's really important to dedicate time and effort to this because whoever's leading this is also the only person who's talking to your customers before you deliver and there's a problem with whatever you're delivering, right? Not to be a negative, but sales are the people that talk to your customers, right? Whoever's guiding your product should also be dealing with sales. We talk about going to market. Great. MVP. A lot of you are going to focus on the M for minimal. Your salespeople are going to get you to focus on V for viable. They're going to tell you the finishing touches, the other little products and tools, the vocabulary they use that makes people's faces light up in meetings, right? They're going to communicate all that back. So going to market and scale is really about whatever stage you're at, you have opportunities. You can build relationships. You can build nonlinear funnels. You can go validate. You can go pre-sell. You can create one-pagers, right? You make things real through design. Don't make anyone guess what you're visualizing in your head. If you focus on relationships and progressing a relationship, not hard closing a sale, you'll make sales now, you'll make sales then, you'll make sales in 10 years. You don't need to be stressed about these things. And I'll leave you just with one last go-to-market thing, because I'm not a digital marketer, I'm a B2B direct. Make your lives easy, start generating some thought leadership. A blurb, a blog, a post, a 10-second video. Go get 10 of your friends to comment on it. Get 10 industry professionals to write one sentence. Develop things that you can create once. Other people are going to share it in their networks and bring people into you, right? There are so many different ways to generate inbound leads that start with your thought leadership now. 1 + 1 = infinity. Partnerships are the best way to do that. Care for whom they care for. Don't work from scarcity. And at the end of the day, I'm sure all of us have ghosted someone or have been ghosted or fucked something up or did a really good job. And then, right, this isn't the end of the world at all. And so don't stress yourselves. And literally anywhere you want to go in sales, go to market, scale, just make sure you're set. And if you're going to invest time and resources in something, just make sure you sign up for a Zoho CRM or a, you know, Meredith has been giving the best freaking names of platforms tonight, between all the Canvas and the other ones and what, right? There's so many tools out there that make your lives easier. Midjourney, amazing for images. I don't do a single development project these days without filling it with Midjourney images, right? $30 a month for commercial licenses of AI images that are exactly for our brands. There's just so much you can do. Just don't stress yourself out of this. You're a human. You're selling to humans. Have conversations. Suzanne's presentation was a perfect example of something that I think you were reading, but it felt so natural. And so be the trusted authority. Don't oversell and overpromise. Deliver on what you're delivering on. And if you want to go sell shit now, just set the expectation and just be a human. And I think that will alleviate some of the stress in this. And if you want to go over what CAC and LTV stand for, I'm happy to go over acronyms.
Thanks so much, Noah. All right, let's take about 15 minutes for open Q&A for any questions the founders have. Mentors, if you don't mind, one request that we have, if you're open to one-to-one conversations with the founders, is just sharing your contact information so they can reach out. So while we're doing this too, if you don't mind sharing the best way to reach you in the chat, assuming you're open to those one-to-one conversations, that would be great. Thank you. No questions? Got some top tier marketing, sales, and go-to-market folks here, so I would take advantage of it.
I do have a comment and to chime in. Noah, awesome conversation, great presentation, and some really great ideas in there. It can't be overstated that no matter where you are in your business cycle, you are always, and or B2B or consumer, you're always selling to a human. You're always, so you need to be thinking about that. I picked up years ago from a copywriter back in the early 20th century. His comment or his advice was to join the conversation that's happening in your customer's mind and in their life experience. So if you can apply some basic empathy, put yourself in the shoes of your customer, then to know your point about progressing the relationship, you can start from where they are rather than where you want them to be. And if you can start there, you will move that relationship forward. The other thing is, anytime you come with your baggage to a conversation, the other person on the other side can smell it. So just don't come with commission breath, because you'll just repel people. So those are a couple of amplifiers to the great presentation that you gave. Thanks, Noah.
I think it was Mark Twain who said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. And part of going to market is literally just saying shit out loud over and over again to different people until you start boiling it down to what works. And to Colin's point, like to meeting where people are at, people have different vocabularies, Some people love fast paced, some people like slow, some people want to, people buy for different reasons, like FOMO, urgency, visibility, relationships, all this stuff. And so, no, I don't see a reason to stress over sales as long as you're always sort of filling the funnel and focusing on the fact that we're all frickin' people. Think about who you buy from, right? Think about something that's important, not just like a impulse item, but like you want to buy from the used car salesman or like the authentic person who understands you. If you can translate someone's problem or solution back to them better than they said it, right? All of a sudden you really become the trusted authority, right? People don't even know how to sort of vocalize some of their problems sometimes.
I have a question for our marketing experts here. Now, knowing that my clients are actually not a end consumer, but it is actually a white label manufacturers who I rely on, that they approach their customer, their clients, with this new product category to introduce hydrated toilet paper to them as a possible product they would be interested in. How can I help them with marketing materials from my side to support their actions towards their customers?
That's a really good question. And if you don't mind, Noah, did you have something you want to say? Meredith, you want to go? I don't want to. All right. I think you need to validate the market and do some of the prep work on their behalf. So you don't need to actually build the whole campaign, but you do need to go validate what the process is to introduce the product and to convince somebody to try it, and then for them to become a user. So you kind of need to go through that journey a little bit. And so what I would suggest is you probably need to go do some test cases, right, where you're actually you are actually selling it into the marketplace and actually walking through that, so that you can come back to your dealer network and say, okay, here's how to sell it. Because if you come with that intelligence, then you're basically giving them the formula to go for them to invest in. So that's kind of what I would do. In general, I mean, what that looks like, that's a whole other thing, because there's a lot of work involved in that and some investment as well. So
he just said something so freaking important to all of us. We're not always going to be talking to the decision maker, right? And so this whole idea of translating things from your head, there should be no guesswork on how those people sell you into their companies or into their partner companies, right? This goes to designs and one-pagers. I'm just going to give you one example, because I did this with yes, all right. There's no NDA. I did this with Kellogg's, the cereal company. But while we were at WeWork, Kellogg's reached out randomly. I thought it was a joke. They asked, how many seats can we get by next week? Hung up 3 minutes later. 2 weeks later, we set up an innovation lab between Stanford, Kellogg's in a WeWork to come up with new products and all this stuff. What I really pitched them on, which they came back and I sold them a marketing campaign 4 years later from that relationship, was the idea that Kellogg's should be setting up breakfast booths at WeWork. WeWork already does breakfast, new member welcome. Kellogg's sells breakfast and invents new breakfast all the time. Instead of us spending $2,000 per location, they come in, they get field marketing, direct access to their consumer in a holistically integrated manner into their daily life. So even with yours, I think of like, I wish Meredith or Carl give you real advice on that type of marketing. But for me, this is how I think. Christmas is coming up. Okay, go find the person who does some like great things for the people inside the company or deals with the partner companies. Take a few of your products, wrap it in beautiful wrapping paper with a bow and like, I don't know, a message like, I hope you don't have a shitty Christmas, like, or New Year. That's my personality. You don't have to take it to that extent. But I would give them as many gifts as they need to give to them or find out where to send them and who to send them to on their behalf. The care for whom they care for, right? It's non-linear sales. I'm not even selling you anything. I have an awesome product that's related to yours. By the way, we're sending 100 of these out to partners for gifts or like whatever. Where should we send them? Or just send them. Sorry, that's my weird marketing.
So on the partner marketing note, I've had too much experience with partner marketing and too many opinions. That's why I like want to make sure that I reel it in. But also coming from working on a product that is for partnerships, Crossbeam, which is a way to see the overlaps that you have with your partners, and that's further on down the road. As partnership programs will evolve and grow, but thinking about extreme empathy at every step. A lot of what like Noah had already said about this is all relationship building, kind of everything is internally, externally with anybody. When it comes to any step in the funnel, also like I'm also kind of on board with Noah with, is the sale ever really closed? I mean, then there's renewals and there's expansion and there's advocation. So and there's partnerships which can then expand your growth and your market altogether and all of that. So if I could go back and tell my younger self anything about partner marketing that I wish I would have known, it's definitely how does the partner's customer feel? What do they need? How can I help provide something unique to them? How do I show that I understand their problems? How do I then support the partner's sales team and with enablement? How do I make sure that they have the materials they need? And then it's a lot of negotiation every step of the way, even for if you have a co-branded flyer for some reason. It doesn't matter how small or big it is. Everything is negotiation. And really standing strong in, this is what my brand is. I will not relent on this. And these are the things that are okay that we can make some sort of like cool hybrid co-brand situation. It's important to be able to find what works best for you and for the partner. But those are some things that I've learned about partner marketing, and also that you can expect the partner to want to do like 1% of the work, and you'll want to do the other 90 to 99% of the work, especially when it comes to marketing, and especially if they're a more established company, because they have a lot on the plate. They have a lot of things that they're already doing, and they're going out of their way to add a new market or new product or new team to their list of things for marketing. So building those relationships is everything for partners. Everything. And it can take time, and that's okay. And it can look totally different year to year, quarter to quarter, what that partnership will look like. And that's totally okay too. But that's also some of like the fun and excitement of, I don't know where this could go. This could become an acquisition. I've also seen that happen where wonderful partners become, one will acquire the other. So you really never know where that partnership will go. And being able to really prioritize that relationship is important. So anyways, wonderful ideas, Noah and Colin.
So sorry, just once to
sorry.
Meredith's point, because we just did hot seat pitches, right? Like closing a hot seat pitch is really no different than closing anything else. You don't want to overwhelm us with your asks. And so again, like to Meredith, like you have to remove the guesswork, and you have be specific. If you're going to ask something of someone, give them like 2 options, 3 at the most, right? You don't have to settle on those as the only things you do together and you can progress. But like the second you pitch me 5 things, I think you're disorganized and not focused. And so go pitch partnerships, be specific about where you want their participation, be specific about what you're asking investors. Don't make us guess as to how we help you. right? In any situation. And so, no, I think Meredith's advice is really great. Colin has given phenomenal advice too today. Both of them have been a freaking powerhouse. And for digital and massive partnerships and scale, like clearly their advice is above and beyond, like above and beyond.
If we have time, I have a question about the funnels. So you mentioned there's like the sales funnel and then there's like the other funnel. So one of the things that I have found is I'm really good at kind of the bringing people along for a while, but I almost need like 5 different funnels because there's the people who are giving me advice, there's the people who have connections, there's the people who might someday be a buyer, and there's the people that have, you know, like there's multiple things. And so how do you organize that? Because right now I just kind of keep it in my head, and I feel like that's probably not the best way.
I love that. I'm just going to say one thing quickly. I hope caller Meredith jump in, please. I have ADHD. I do everything with the ADHD method, right? No waterfall or sprints. I work on something while it gives me dopamine and I don't repeat it over and over again. Then I move on. By the time I put those 40 puzzle pieces together over and over again, it becomes something. There's no one direct route for this. Alleviate some of your stress. We're not perfect. We're humans. We're fallible. We're going to forget about people. We're going to lose some shit. We're probably going to create some problems accidentally. So just first and foremost, just give yourself a break. Things don't have to be perfect. Second, tackle these things just sort of one at a time, right? The first thing is there a place where this information lives, right? Do I have a list? Do I have a FigJam? Do I have a CRM with types of contacts? I don't know if Levi or Laney's going to be glad I said this. I'm FI alumni. I was in an FI program years ago. I don't think I sent out one mentor update. And not because it's not important, but because in terms of all the things I was balancing, it felt weirder for me to give a weekly update about very little progress than to actually sit and do the work and make the progress. So at the end of the day, while it'd be great if we're all perfectionists and there was a perfect plan for all of this, just take one step at a time. It's sort of like Jenga. You want to make sure as you take one small piece, you set it well so that one small problem doesn't topple things over at the end. But just think about it this way. You just said it yourself. You have people who are giving you advice, people you're potentially asking advice from, people who potentially are your target demographic or some version of that, people who are just going to be ambassadors and evangelists for you, people who are going to be ambassadors and evangelists for your company, right? You don't have to overwhelm them. I think one of the most helpful things startups can do at this stage is just think about things like quarterly. Do 4 things a year in year 1. You know what I mean? I don't mean only 4 things, but if you're going to get other people involved, okay, in quarter 1, it's just like some webinar where we do some education about our industry and have some fun or have a cool speaker. In Q2, we might do something local. We might get other people to do things local and whatever, right? By the end of the year, we have another online thing or an engagement, or we send out one email to our advisors and mentors every quarter, right? Give yourself a break. Be a little more organized. Give yourself a break. You guys work hard here.
I think that's a beautiful note to end the Q&A on and move to breakout rooms. Thank you, Noah. So today, in the interests of keeping ourselves on schedule here, we're going to do 3 breakout rooms. So 1 mentor per breakout room, just 2 or 3 founders for each one. So it'll be a little bit more intimate than the previous ones. Mentors, if you're not familiar. So what we're going to do now is the founders have all worked on a specific assignment that's kind of like a more structured pitch relevant to today's topic. So in the breakout rooms, they're each going to share that. I think we're still at 1 minute for those, but founders, correct me if your assignment said something different. So we're gonna time that, and then mentors, you'll just give some short feedback, very similar to the hot seat pitch, but a little bit more casual in terms of the feedback, and also no need for a numeric rating this time. If you'd like to structure your feedback that way, you're more than welcome to, but it doesn't need to be entered anywhere. One very important point, just to reiterate, I think founders have absorbed this by now, but breakout rooms are the end of our session. There's no need to leave the breakout room and come back to the main room. We're done. when the breakout room is done. You're more than welcome to hang out there if you like, but after feedback has been given, you're welcome to head out. We want to be respectful of your time. All right. Emily, no, we actually don't do a formal score for these pitches from the mentors. Some of the mentors might give a score, but it's not being entered anywhere on the back end. All right, so Lainey, if you don't mind kicking off the breakout rooms. Thank you, thank you.